okay, so half the cast is just TV actors. It was great.
Yeah.
Or not TV actors, but like people from TV shows that I was watching at the time.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know. Whatever.
You watched 2.5 Men?
No.
There's no way.
Please like this. Please like this. Please like this.
Welcome to Please Like This. I'm Mark.
I'm Valentina.
And today we're discussing Company, a musical about love, marriage, and the horror of turning 35.
Okay, do you want to talk about like your experience with Company first?
Yeah, sure. So I chose the musical Company. For those of you who don't know, Company is a musical that was written by Stephen Sondheim. The music and the lyrics are by Stephen Sondheim, and then the book is by a guy named George Firth. And what's interesting about this musical is that it's not a proper plot. It's not, we start here, rising action, and then it ends with full characters. It's a concept musical where it's a bunch of little vignettes tied together by a man's 35th birthday. And this is a pretty important musical in musical history. It set a record that I think has been broken since for the most Tony nominations. I think it had 14 when it came out in like the 1970s. In 1970.
Okay, yeah. Didn't the producers break that one?
Because
the producers had the record for most wins and nominations until Hamilton broke it with the most nominations, but I think it still has the most wins.
Then you're probably right.
Record. Maybe. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah. So it was maybe Company 1970 to producers whenever producers came out, and then Hamilton. It's interesting because it's one of the first musicals that's really tackling adult relationships in a real way. At the time, a lot of the musicals were much more about like fun, dancing, big musical productions, and especially the big major ones that were on Broadway. And this one focuses a lot on love and marriage and relationships and what it means to get older, what it means to be alone and get older, and all this other stuff. And my personal experience with this and why I chose it is I think this is the second musical I've seen.
Like, you've actually gone to see a production of it?
No. On YouTube.
Oh.
On a video format of some kind. Because I didn't have any experience with musicals until I was in high school, and I was in Legally Blonde the musical my sophomore year.
I've heard about this.
Yes. That production was cursed because people wouldn't show up for rehearsals half the time. There's all kinds of mess.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot stress how small production my high school of like 350 students and like 10 of them are doing drama stuff. Did with Legally Blonde. We didn't have a stage. We were performing in the band room and like built a stage in the band room.
Oh my god. This is...
You didn't know this?
It's just still astonishing whenever you talk about your high school. I'm like, how does a high school work like that?
Yeah,
Because
I don't know how
mine was so
legal.
big.
I don't know. But we made do with what we had, and it honestly, it wasn't, for all of the insanity that happened during it, I feel like it wasn't that bad of a production.
Okay.
So there we go. But that was like my first experience doing anything with actual theater stuff or musical stuff. And so when we were practicing for that, I watched MTV, I think, filmed Legally Blonde the musical.
Yes, I've seen this multiple times.
Yeah, and I watched it, and then through that, I started looking for other film productions of musicals, and I found Company.
Okay.
The specific one that we watched, which is from 2011, and it's a like the New York Philharmonic doing Company for 4 nights. It's not a Broadway run. It's not a revival. There's been several revivals, but this is not one of them. And they do a great job. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this is the second one that I saw full through. And so my first idea of musicals is the stereotype of like big, dumb stuff, which is true for musicals, but I didn't realize I liked it. And then I was into Legally Blonde, which is like a fun, very funny musical. But
it's a modern
it's a modern musical that
stuff.
Maybe doesn't necessarily have a ton to say.
Yeah.
Whereas this is my first experience with something in this medium that really, like I said, it focuses a lot on like this, like relationships coming together, falling apart, and like love and how it takes its form in many ways. And I just thought it was fascinating, and Patti LuPone's amazing.
Yes.
So that's my experience with this musical, is that it's one of like the foundational things that I've seen that that made me love musical theater.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
But
you
did not have that experience at all.
Okay.
I've always been aware of Company. I realized I had no idea what it was about. I did not know that it was about this 35-year-old guy and his couple friends.
That's the entire musical.
I always got it confused with a chorus line. Because, like, I know a chorus line. I've seen, like, YouTube videos of it and everything. And so I knew a chorus line is, like, okay, it's about the chorus of a show. And like, their personal experiences and whatever. And then I always thought that, like, Company was kind of, like, similar to that, about the company of a musical. Mm-hmm. Or, like, a theater production. Or, like a theater company. Not, like, oh, I'm having company over.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of double entendres.
Yeah.
that maybe make it confusing.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. I didn't even think of that as like a thing.
I've known some of the big songs, of course. I have to look at
Ladies Who Lunch?
The names of them. Yes, Ladies Who Lunch. Yeah. I know that one, of course. The Lane Stritch performance and stuff, but also because I saw Camp, the movie Camp, when I was like in high school. I saw it like on TV one day.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh my god, should we do an episode on Camp?
Yeah, add that to the list.
Okay. So in Camp, there's a scene where like essentially Anna Kendrick ends up doing Ladies Who Lunch. Like a very young Anna Kendrick.
Like 14, right? I know she's in it as like a
yeah,
like a
she's like maybe like 14, 15 in that movie.
Doing Ladies Who Lunch.
Yes. And
the most like old broad song.
It's a movie about like a theater camp, and Stephen Sondheim is a very big presence that these kids all worship him, of course, and like they do a lot of his songs. I think they do like another song from Company as well. I can't remember which one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I had always known about like a few of the songs. I've known about like Getting Married Today. I've known about I'm looking at the song list right now. You Could Drive a Person Crazy. I've known about that one. Mm-hmm. And like heard it. And Being Alive was in Marriage Story last year.
It was?
Yeah. Adam Driver sings it at the end of Marriage Story.
What?
He's at a karaoke night. It feels less out of place in that movie than you would think. Mm-hmm. And also, to me, this is gonna like reveal a little more about how I felt about it. It feels less out of place in that movie than in this show.
You're saying it feels out of place in this show?
Yeah.
What song is this again?
Being Alive.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like maybe in this production, it feels more out of place because I don't think Neil Patrick Harris gets to the emotional core of this character.
Okay. And
He
now
gets to like the smarmy funness of it.
Yes.
Of like being like the charming guy. But when it's time for him to be like, also you're alone and sad, he doesn't nail it.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'll say, like, that was my background with this show. Mm-hmm. Oh, and also I had seen the Documentary Now episode about
I have not seen the Documentary Now episode, yeah.
Yeah. About a parody of the documentary film about during the recording of the cast album of the show or whatever.
A parody of the documentary of the recording of the cast album of the original production of Company.
Yes.
Yep, got it.
I like this show.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. It's a weird one, and I don't think this is maybe the best intro.
Like this production that we saw?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the thing. Like we watched the 2011 New York Philharmonic concert version, and I don't think I get the story. Really.
Yeah, it's not really. Well, it's kind of not really a story.
Well, the thing is, like, it centers around this one character of Robert, played by Neil Patrick Harris.
Mm-hmm. Bobby.
In this production. Bobby. Well, yeah, whatever
Bobby,
his name is.
Bobby.
And, I had heard that song, too.
Yeah, the opening, yeah.
The opening number,
Bobby,
yeah.
Bobby, Bobby, baby, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby.
So, okay, this was 2011. Neil Patrick Harris was at the height of his How I Met Your Mother career. I loved How I Met Your Mother when it was on. I do not like it now. I hate it now. I never want to see another episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
But I never liked the character of Barney, which was Neil Patrick Harris's character, and I feel like he's just playing Barney in this show.
A little bit, yeah. He's playing like a calmer Barney.
Yeah.
It's like playing into his sensibilities of what he was known as.
Yes. Which is... It very much did. Anytime he was speaking, really, or, like, had a moment, I was like, why do I care about this guy? I loved the songs. Even like the dance breaks and everything, like the scenes were with other characters, like
and I think the supporting cast, I mean, because it's such a concert version, they were able to get a lot of big stars. They got like I mean, this is Stephen Colbert and Christina Hendricks are both in this.
Yes.
I mean, Christina Hendricks was, I think, still on Mad Men when that was happening. So at like the height
and
of
Stephen
her.
Colbert was still on Comedy Central. He had not moved to the Late Show yet.
Yeah, and this is both of theirs first experience doing anything musical. And John Cryer's in this. Like, there's in this production, it's like, let's get a lot of celebrities, and then the people who are not celebrities are like Broadway veterans,
like Anika Noni Jones,
Rose.
Rose. Oh my God, I messed that up. Anika Noni Rose, who of course played Tiana in Princess and the Frog, and is a Disney legend.
Yeah. Basically, anybody who has not been on like a anybody in this cast who has not been on a serialized TV show, is a Broadway veteran. But anyway, the problem, the thing, while I was rewatching this production, I think I still have like a little bit of rose-tinted glasses just because it was like one of the first things I've seen.
Okay.
But there are problems with it. In terms of this production only happened 4 nights. The people didn't get to practice together until like the day.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they were all so busy all doing all kinds of other stuff that they all like rehearsed individually pretty much. So I know for all of the big dance numbers, which there are 3 or 4 big group numbers in this, they didn't get to rehearse as a group until the first day and like put it all together.
Oh.
So in terms of they didn't really have as much preparation as an actual Broadway show, they do a really good job, but it's not going to be as good as an actual cast performing together, practicing together, and perfecting everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Which is why
and
someone like Patti LuPone, who, like, this is her signature song, Ladies Who Lunch is one of her signature songs, it really stands out that she has done this a lot.
Yeah. She, like, felt well-versed in the role, at least.
Yes, yeah.
And I honestly chalked that up to, when I was watching it, I chalked it up to just, like, oh, this is legend Patti LuPone.
This is Patti LuPone, yeah.
And she's just amazing, and she can do anything, and she had no rehearsal. She didn't need any, whatever. She can do it. But that does make sense that the rest of the cast didn't have much rehearsal time or anything.
So I give it a little bit of forgiveness in not being perfectly rehearsed, or not, like, really, some of the actors not really being able to get to the full emotional core of what they're saying, because they didn't have the time to rehearse and figure it out and get used to this character.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think I'm going to give a lot of these performers passes if I don't feel like they're nailing something, because they didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And they still genuinely do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, other than Neil Patrick Harris, all of the performances I thought were great.
Martha Plimpton
is so good.
I
love her. Yeah.
Like, if you're great on the Real O'Neills, you're gonna be great at anything.
Yes.
And
It was good.
I watched all the Real O'Neills. I love the Real O'Neills. The show has problems. Martha Plimpton is not one of those problems.
I only watched the first season, but yes.
She's doing some crazy accent work too. I feel like Martha Plimpton's performance in this show, she doesn't look anyone in the eyes. She's just always like off.
Yeah.
And is almost in her own world, but still manages to nail the connection with Stephen Colbert of their, like, fighting and arguments and the physical comedy of throwing Colbert around. Like, it's really, because they fight.
Okay, that scene, like, made me laugh, but I thought it went on too long.
Yeah, it's the thing. The thing about this musical in specific that's also interesting is that it was actually legitimately just a series of vignettes that George Firth wrote that were not musical.
Oh.
And then he and Stephen Sondheim came together, and Stephen Sondheim, they, like, put it all together and put it with this framing device of being around a single man's 35th birthday and him interacting with all these couples that he's, like, really good friends with.
That makes so much sense.
It puts a lot in context, because it's a strange musical.
Definitely. I think I said this already, but, like, I don't think I was ever fully on board with the story just because of the framing device of the 35th birthdays and, like, of this guy, Bobby. Like, I did not care for him ever, but I really liked the individual scenes with the couples and stuff. So that makes a lot of sense that those would be the original project.
Yeah, they were all solo pieces. And then tied together through this kind of cipher character he's not really specific. Something I was thinking about while watching it this time, because in 2018 there was a revival of this musical on the West End that casts Bobby as a woman and changes the stuff stays the same, but they, like, change characters, stuff change gender roles. I'm Not Getting Married Today is sung by a gay man.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this. Like, you've
Yes, because it was on Broadway and then has been shut down because of COVID.
Starring Katrina Lenk.
Yes, starring Katrina Lenk. And also has Patti LuPone in it. And I was going to go on my birthday, and then it got shut down a month.
Aww.
But while watching Neil Patrick Harris play Bobby, I kept just imagining him as a woman and imagining the subtext, how the subtext changes.
Yeah.
How it becomes a lot more like, oh, you old maid.
Yeah.
Or, like, how it's not, because this movie kind of treats Bobby as like, oh, we love him. He's just like our fun single friend. And it's okay that he's 35 and single because he's a man.
Yeah, that's the thing of, like, the men in the couples are all like envious of him, of like his quote unquote freedom or whatever.
Yeah, there's that one song, "Have I Got a Girl for You," where all the men are like, "I got this woman friend. Tell me about the sex with her." And it's like, really, it's weird.
Yeah, was very strange.
Yeah, but also felt real.
It did feel very real, and that was probably the problem that I had with it, that it felt so real.
I can't have sex, I'm married, but I'll live vicariously through your dick. It's
this show, with him being unmarried, I would really love to see the gender swapped version of it, and to see how those gender dynamics work, because it was originally from, like, it's a show from the 1970s.
Yeah.
So, where, like, divorce was just becoming a thing, or not, like, just becoming a thing, but, like, just becoming, like, a popular, common thing.
A more social thing.
Yes, where it wasn't just like, oh, these celebrities are getting divorced because they have the money to do so. It's like, no, like, your next door neighbor is getting divorced and stuff. And, like, parts of it did feel like I was watching something from 1970.
This is a musical that I think has gone through changes over the years. And I know that from the 70s to the revival they did in the 90s, Stephen Sondheim and I think George Firth went through it again and updated it, so it was more modern. This is a musical that isn't, the way it is shown is probably been updated in a lot of ways from the 70s ideals of about, like, divorce and sex and marriage and all that stuff, but still has a lot of the artifact of that time because it was written then.
Yeah, I get that.
Also, when Sondheim was writing the lyrics and the music and all this stuff for the songs, he hadn't been married.
Okay.
And he interviewed a friend of his and used her ideas on sex and marriage and, like, her and, like, being in love as, like, the basis for a lot of his thoughts that come out in the songs.
Huh.
And I just think that's interesting that this is considered, like, one of Stephen Sondheim's definitive works.
And it's not even his experiences.
Yeah. And, like, the book and all, like, the individual scenes were taken from something else and turned into this because they wanted to work with Sondheim with it. And I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I feel like a lot of the songs are very... Do you know what a synecdoche is?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like a lot of these songs are like synecdoches of conversation, where they're using, like, little parts of a conversation to describe the general type of conversation.
Okay.
Like how a lot of the lyrics in this musical is like, "How's it going? Hey, Bobby, what's up? Babe, Bobby. Like, it's all, like, the song "Another 100 People," I think, is the biggest example of it in my head, where it's describing New York City and the people who live in New York City by using, like, the way that they walk and the way that the city sounds and, like, all this other stuff. I think this musical gives the impression of having a lot to say, but maybe doesn't necessarily have a lot of specific things to say.
Okay.
Because it's using, and you're like, oh, I know what they're describing. I feel this thing. But they're not actually, like, saying anything specific on it. But I don't know if that's true, actually.
Well, it doesn't really feel like there's a ton of, like, actual direct commentary on the subjects that they're presenting. It's, like, just in presenting these, like, possibly controversial subjects of, like, divorce, of, like, infidelity, of, like, sleeping around and having sex before marriage and, like, all these things, like, just even presenting them is, like, already groundbreaking enough that you don't need to say anything specifically about it. Because, like, even with the divorce stuff, like, I don't really know what they're trying to say about divorce.
Yeah, there isn't anything specific. If there's a statement of this musical, it's that love is complicated and you got to do your own thing, because the ideal version of love isn't going to be the version that you're in.
Yeah.
Like, we see all these couples, they talk a lot about their ideals. There's like, and I'm getting married today is basically like, I don't feel good enough to marry this man who's too good for me, but he wants to marry me and loves me, but my idea of this isn't working because I'm not good enough. Or like Ladies Who Lunch, they talk a lot about how like Joanne is now in this happy relationship with this man, but she is so insecure that she can't be like a positive, happy person. She has to like shit on it and like say mean things about other people and herself because it like makes her feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's not the ideal version of love, but it's the version of love that she's in, and it works.
Yeah. I get that. And honestly, I think that works. Because, like...
I think it's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, this might, like, turn into, I don't know, like, Valentina's existential corner or something, but, like...
Cool.
That is, like, very existentialist, where, like, you need to just figure out, like, I know, sorry, like, it is just, like, you need to figure out...
Valentina's an existentialist. Valentina
like,
is an existentialist.
Works for you.
Yeah.
And nothing else matters.
And I still don't fully know what it means.
Oh my god. Okay.
I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's a nebulous concept.
Yes,
also,
it is. It's very, yes. It's pretty much, okay, so nihilism is nothing matters. Existentialism is nothing matters until you decide it matters. I'm sorry.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just... I think you're the only person I know who's like...
What?
I don't know. I don't know what this... I genuinely don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I think it's funny.
I watch everything with, like, that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I do feel like I might be projecting on things, but, like, other times I'm like, no, this is definitely existentialist. And I will say being alive is, like, Bobby
is
having...
existentialism?
Yes, like, it. I'm not even kidding, though. Like, it is.
Oh, yeah,
like,
it's
Bobby,
why does this matter? Why does this matter? Because I want it. Because I want it.
Yeah. It's him having his existential crisis and then coming to terms with reality. And, yeah.
And a great song. That song can really be like a gut punch.
Yes.
Not in this
be.
musical, but not in this production, but...
Yeah.
We're really shitting on NPH.
I mean, he's just so...
Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I
have performed for him.
Do you want to tell that story?
It's a weird story to tell. We're so early in. I performed for Neil Patrick Harris. I played a straight version of Neil Patrick Harris in front of him. Afterwards, I didn't know he was in the audience. Afterwards, he came up to the show and complimented me, and then we went out for drinks afterward as a group because his husband was doing monologues in the show I was in.
And this was an improv show.
This is an improv show. This is an improv show that I was invited to be in, that I knew Neil Patrick Harris's husband was in. I didn't realize he would be in the audience. I made fun of Neil Patrick Harris to his face. Also played a straight version of Neil Patrick Harris in front of Neil Patrick Harris. And then he complimented me on it.
That's the best part, though, like that he complimented you.
Yeah, that afterwards he was like, that was so funny. Yeah, he was like, that was funny.
It shows that he's, like, a good sport, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I have a deep personal connection with Neil Patrick Harris. And that's why I shitted on his performance in the show.
Oh, goodness. It really is.
He does a good job with the funny, like, charismatic parts.
Yes, I feel
but
like
when it comes to the emotional part, he doesn't quite get there.
No, he should have been in one of the couples. He shouldn't have been the main guy.
Who would you want to see as the main person?
I do not know. Ooh,
Katrina Lenk.
Yes.
But I can't see that.
Genuinely. I don't know. There's too many people to choose from.
What was your favorite part of this production?
I will say my favorite part of this production, which will bring me something else, was Christina Hendricks.
Yeah, she's so funny.
I loved Christina Hendricks. I did not like her character or her treatment, the treatment of her character at all.
No, she's just dumb.
Yeah, which is awful. And I wrote down, one of my notes I wrote down was like, what would it be like if she weren't played for laughs? If the character of April wasn't played for laughs and was taken seriously, and it would
sad.
No, I came up with the fact that it would be Clueless. It would be Cher in Clueless.
Isn't she played for laughs?
She's not played for laughs. She's taken seriously by the movie. The movie takes her seriously. Other characters don't necessarily take her seriously, but the movie does. The movie doesn't ridicule her. Yeah. And she's actually, like, given dignity in the movie.
Yeah.
And
like if the movie Clueless was about who's the new girl?
Zooey Deschanel?
No. No, in the movie Clueless, who's the new girl who comes to school?
Oh!
If the movie Clueless was about Zooey Deschanel. And I guess Paul Rudd would be played by one of the Property brothers that she's dating. Yeah. No, who in the movie Clueless is
Brittany Murphy.
Brittany Murphy. If in the movie, like, it followed Brittany Murphy's perspective, that's kind of it's a little bit what we're dealing with.
But even then, I don't think, like pretty much all the characters in Clueless are dumb, right? Like, they're all dumb in their own ways. But, like, they're given dignity. Like, they're treated as real people of, like, oh, yeah, you might be dumb, but you're a person and, like, yeah. I still care about you. And, like, in this, April is just, like, that's her main trait. Like, her only character trait is that she's dumb, and that's it. But, like, the characters in Clueless, like, they're dumb, but, like, Cher is also incredibly caring. She, like, wants to help people. She wants to, like, be seen as smart and stuff. And, like, she has, like, a character arc and stuff, and April does not.
Yeah, no. This character is basically just, like, a one-night stand.
But he's dating her for months, for, like, 2 years.
It's treated like a one-night stand, but there's, like, a weird on and off dating.
That's the thing.
They're just, like, not... they don't consider this character seriously.
That's what I hated. Because, like, Christina Hendricks was not... She was playing the role with dignity.
I agree with you that I don't think that character is, like, treated with any kind of dignity in the terms of the play. They're just, like, the musical, like, this person is just dumb. Just there to, like, show an aspect of, like, dating a dumb person because they're hot. But I also don't think this show has much no, it does. Never mind. I was gonna say I don't necessarily think this show has a lot of care for the other two women. Because he dates in Company. In Company, there's the whole cast is 5 couples who are, like, all his married couples. The main guy, Bobby, who's turning 35. It's his birthday. And then it also kind of explores 3 relationships he's had with 3 women. And there's April, who's, like, the dumb hot one. There's Martha, who's, like, the fun, like, wild one.
Like, hippie.
And then there's Kathy, who's the best. But does it mean anything?
Kathy, I felt like, was treated with dignity.
Yeah.
Like, Marta maybe wasn't either. Like, she also was treated as, like, oh, you're kind of dumb, like, for... Or maybe she's, like, just supposed to be young.
Honestly, though, I don't know. I feel like, actually, the reason I started taking back my statement is because I kind of realized that I think they do treat... Kathy, they don't really give her anything because she's moved on. And she's like, wow, we had a great thing, but I am now in a different relationship because you are a child. Or, like, you're great, but, like, neither of us were in a position to get married, and I've moved on, and I am in a position to get married with a man that I love. But I do feel like the show does treat Martha? I keep saying it's Cuban.
Well, okay, there is
because I have a great Aunt Martha. And but I think they just say Marta.
Yeah, they just say Marta. But I was a little confused about that for a second when she asks him, like, oh, do you know any Puerto Rican people? Because I was like, oh, wait, is she supposed to be Puerto Rican? And because, like, Anika Rose is not Puerto Rican. But, like, I don't think she is because she was originally played by a white woman, I believe. So
I was gonna say that I think that they treat Martha with dignity because I feel like the song Another 100 People kind of paints her in like a very positive light, where her like love for the city and her love for meeting people is this like beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That April doesn't get, because her whole song is they have sex and then she has to leave because she's a flight attendant and is going to Barcelona, and then he just wants her to leave but is like trying to fake be nice, like, oh, stay, and then she's like, okay, I'll stay, and he's like, get the fuck out.
April doesn't have like a moment to herself ever. She is always just one of the girls that Bobby is dating, and like
she doesn't. She and Kathy don't get songs.
Yeah, Kathy at least like she doesn't get a song, but like in like the what is it, two scenes that she has, she does get like depth, and that April is not given, and like even Marta, in giving her another 100 People, like she is given a little bit of depth of just like she gets to explain her point of view, and we actually see her point of view a little bit more, and April doesn't get that.
Yeah. And also something interesting something to point out. I mean, it doesn't matter because like how much, because you don't really have to take as much the author's consideration of how they wrote it. Doesn't necessarily it doesn't matter with how you feel about it. But Another 100 People was written for the original actress, because the original actress in the original production was like amazing, and they wanted to give her own full song.
Oh.
And Kathy, and the person who played Kathy in the original production is Donna McKechnie, who's like one of the most famous dancers of all time. And so she was given like a full dance, like sexy number called TikTok, because which I was like, what the fuck is Kathy doing here? Like, what is? Because that's like they literally just gave it to her because the original actress was like amazing, and in previous productions they have cut it down a lot / gotten rid of it completely, because it was solely because the original actress is an amazing dancer.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now, because like when they had that performance, I was so confused, because I was like, this woman is just dancing in front of like Bobby and April having sex? Like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this saying?
And it's saying nothing. It was just given to show off.
It's a good number. The musical numbers were great, and I appreciate them for what they are. And like the songs that I already knew before watching this, I think were the standout songs. Even now with watching it, they're like the show tunes that will be repeated and stuff.
Yeah, no one's like, you know what we need to do? Poor Baby.
Which one is that?
It's the one where Neil Patrick Harris and April are having sex, and the two, Martha Plimpton and one of the other like wife characters, are like, oh, he's so alone, while he's like having sex with them.
Again, something that I did not get. Like, I truly just don't understand why they care so much about this guy. I understand because that it's like these couples are projecting all like their hopes and dreams onto their single friend, but like I really don't know if it's like just Neil Patrick Harris in the role, or like the character as written, of just like, I don't get it. I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not given much, and he asks two women that he's not been dating or been with for a while, do you want to marry me? Just out of nowhere.
Well, one of them is
his friend, who's married,
who's
on her wedding day, about to marry one of her friends, and is just like having a freak out moment, and sent the husband away, sent the person who was going to be her husband away, and then after all that happens, and they're both alone, he's like, we should get married, but both of us are so alike, and we both hate this, and it's like, this is her wedding day.
Yeah,
she just called off her wedding,
and he's just like so cavalier, like, we should get married. Like, why don't you marry me? It's like, because of so many reasons, you stupid.
Wait 2 years. Wait 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, what did you think of... I mean, I think one of the biggest songs from this musical is Not Getting Married Today.
Yeah.
Is this your first time seeing it, like, performed?
Performed in context, yes.
Got it. But what did you think of this performance?
It was great. I liked it. Katie Finneran, who plays that character, what's her name? Amy.
Katie Finneran.
The character of Amy. She I just recently rewatched You've Got Mail, and she's in You've Got Mail.
As what? The mail?
She's the nanny for Tom Hanks's dad's kid.
Okay.
She's like it's a very small bit character that she's in 2 scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen her in a few other things, and I'm like, she's good. And then like now seeing her do this, I was like, oh no, she's great.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She really gets like I've seen a couple performances of this, and my favorite is Madeline Kahn.
Okay.
And they're very different. Honestly, I would say watch Madeline Kahn's performance of this, because it's really, really good in a different way. Because this one, she gets big. She gets the manic energy, is going all over the stage, breaking things, praying up, down, all over the place, and singing. And I mean, this was the fastest song in musical history until Hamilton came along.
Yeah.
And like, she's really going all over the place. But Madeline Kahn's performance of it is so much more like self-contained, like all in the face, and tiny movements of I'm losing it. And after seeing Madeline Kahn's performance of this, I don't know if another performance of It's Not Getting Married Today will stack up quite as well, because she just nails it so hard for me.
All right.
But this is very good.
Yeah, I thought she was great. She didn't really leave much to be desired for me, but like, yeah, if you've seen it done perfectly, then yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that a lot of this session has been like real critique from me, which I don't know if I'm uncomfortable with. I don't.
When was the last time you watched this performance before you watched it for this?
I've seen this. I watched this musical multiple times when I was in high school, and I watched it in college, and I think the last time I saw this was like full way through last year.
Okay. So do you think you are just like being critical of it because I'm being critical of it?
No, I think I'm being kind of critical of it because I'm approaching it. I'm actually looking at it with a critical eye.
Okay.
And seeing the ways it like doesn't stack up, and I don't know what I'm saying.
No, I get it, because it's like, this was one of your introductions to musical theater, which is a thing that you love now.
Yes.
So
a lot.
Yeah. So it's always gonna be like, it's always gonna have that special place in your heart. But now, you've never like looked at it with a critical eye before, so I understand.
Yeah, it's
not a bad thing.
I mean, performing and stuff, I don't think I've ever discussed anything with like any kind of seriousness. I'm suddenly like, what if someone hears this and is like, you're wrong? No. But also, like, doesn't matter. And also, no one's listening.
Yeah. One, really, who was going to listen?
Yeah,
and two,
our friends.
Like, you're just talking to me. Like, these are the conversations that we have. The point
this is what we do.
The point of this podcast is these are the conversations that we already have. We already do this thing where we're like, okay, hey, Mark, I love this thing. Watch it. And then we'll talk about it. So, and that's the whole premise of this show. It's why we're
it's
doing
the main reason we're still friends.
Probably.
Yeah, because I know it's kept us in contact.
Yes.
Because we always had someone to be like, watch this thing, see this thing. Or even just saying like, I love this thing, and you and I both love talking to people who love stuff.
That is also it. And
even if we don't know, I feel like we often have conversations where it's like, I've seen this thing. Do you care about spoilers? And like 98% of the time we say, no, I don't really care about spoilers, because we just like hearing people talk about stuff they love.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason this spoke so much to me as a high schooler is because it's Sondheim. The lyrics are fun, the lyrics are clever, the songs are catchy and like up paced, but it does actually have something to say, and I think it opened, like, I don't think we would have musicals like Next to Normal or Dear Evan Hansen, which are both by the same groups of people, but there are other musicals that are also serious.
Yeah.
Without Sondheim doing deconstructions of what a musical can be.
Yeah, I mean, like, without Sondheim, musicals would maybe still be just like South Pacific.
Yeah. And with this musical in particular.
Yeah.
Because this is like, I think even Sondheim has said, like, this is where he found his voice as a composer, not just a lyricist. Because so much of his beginning career was just writing lyrics for other people's music.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
And so this is his, like, maybe not his, like, magnum opus, but this is, like, his...
But at least maybe the first chapter to it.
Yeah! It's a musical that is gonna be relevant at all times. Without changing a ton. Because it's about love and marriage and that.
Like, in talking about Bennett like Beckham, we said, like, that show or that movie is, that story is so universal because it's so specific, and I feel like this one is so universal because it's not specific at all, where, like, it's just dealing with themes, and it doesn't really have, like, specific situations that, like, the themes,
none of these relationships you're like, that is such a good relationship, you're like, that is such a good performance of an archetype. It really is just, like, dealing with these certain themes and these subjects, and it's not like you've said before, like, there's not much story here, and that's why it can translate easily to different time periods and stuff. What are your final thoughts?
Really, my final thoughts are, like, I like the songs. I like the couples. I really hate Bobby.
There's nothing there.
Yeah. I don't know that I would ever sit down at home and watch this again in another production. But, like, if I'm in New York, when you're in New York and you want to see this on Broadway with Katrina Lenk, I would go with you.
Yeah. Okay, Valentina. How do you feel? Would you recommend this musical to somebody else?
Yes, I would recommend Company as a musical. I would not really recommend this production of Company that we watched. Maybe look up clips from something else. And have that be your introduction to Company.
Yeah, understandable.
I don't think this production that we watched was the best introduction to Company, but I did enjoy the songs, the musical numbers. So, yeah, just maybe check out someone else doing it.
And if you're a closeted teenager in a small area of the country with no access to musicals, I would recommend this production.
Please like this. Please like this. Please like this.